Okay, so we have a crowd. Let's get started. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to UW-Madison Profile, building upon Salesforce Experience Cloud to improve user experience. My name is Mernaz, and I'll be moderating this session. Just a quick view of what to expect. Our speakers will introduce themselves and start the presentation. Then we'll have some time at the end for QA. So please put your questions in the chat, and I will read them out at the end. Please note that the session is going to be recorded and an accessible video will be available for viewing on our website, hopefully next week. And today we have Beth Richardson and Tyler Rutkowski. And now with that, I will turn it over to our speakers for their presentation.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Richardson. I'm the product owner of the UW-Madison Profile service, and I'm a software engineer developer within Web Platform Services in the Application Infrastructure Services Department within DoIT.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Tyler Rutkowski. I have the pleasure of serving as a manager in Identity and Access Management here, also in AIS and at DoIT, and work on the team alongside Beth and the other developers to help provide the UW-Madison Profile service to campus. As we jump in here and walk through our time this morning, thought we should provide a little overview of how we'll spend the next 30 minutes together. First and foremost, we're going to walk through what in fact is Profile, what is the service today. Beth's going to talk through the technical sides of this work from a Salesforce and Salesforce Experience Cloud platform standpoint. She's also going to talk about the agile approach that the team has been working on over the last handful of years and really through the eyes of strong end user feedback and through the end user experience. And we'll wrap up this morning looking at what's on deck for Profile looking forward and kind of how we need you and your engagement to help shape the service for this and the future of this for UW. So first and foremost, what is Profile? So we've got our vision statement here up on the screen. Boiled down, the UW-Madison Profile service really aims to be a sole user-friendly location for folks specifically at UW-Madison, a place to view, assert, and manage your personal information, contact information, or demographic data about yourself at the university. Beth's going to do me a quick favor and drop the Profile link in chat for folks this morning. So as we're talking through, as Marnez mentioned, we'll gather questions at the end of our session today, but certainly feel free to visit Profile as we're talking. Click around at the top there, you're going to see a question mark icon in that toolbar. Please feel free to click that. There's going to be a couple options available to you. One of them notably is a feedback link. Our team is very open to feedback in all shapes and sizes, so please feel free to share any ideas you might have about future data elements you'd love to see in the service or just your overall experience with the service itself. You might be thinking as you start clicking around or thinking about this service and what this looks like, who is this available to currently at UW-Madison? So right now, after our soft launch of this service last summer, it's available to current students, non-credit students, employees, and Madison employee affiliates. We will get into some other populations later in our slides this morning as we kind of look again towards that looking forward and looking to the future section. So certainly just wanted to call out those components. And then also you might have seen a more targeted campus communication outreach this spring as we moved the editable name and use functionality from MyUW to solely live in the UW-Madison Profile service. So you might have seen us called out in working at UW or other various campus newsletters. So really excited to be here with y'all this morning, sharing more about this service and how it can impact our digital experience here at the university. So looking forward to providing an easier way, what gap or what need is Profile really fulfilling here at Madison? So in the spirit of it, Profile's vision, of being that sole user-friendly interface that anyone at the university can turn to, our team is acutely aware that Madison is a really big place. There's a lot of different business processes and inner workings that are not transparent to end users in all instances. So our goal in providing an easier way is to really surface your profile data to you, and again, that user-friendly interface in a way that where you don't need to go about understanding those inner workings of campus. You don't need to understand those idiosyncrasies or the various business processes on the back end that drive a lot of different services or components at the institution. At its most basic form, as you see if you're clicking around your own profile page right now, Profile is really, again, that more convenient way for you to take care of a lot of different tasks that folks at the university might just like think through that set it and forget it mentality, right? So you might have set your name in use when you onboarded to the university, and a lot of us have different varying years of service here, from an employee or even a student standpoint. If you moved, you might have changed your address 5 or 6 years ago when you moved, but if you recently moved and you haven't changed your address, this is going to be a great place for you to turn to. Again, from a user-friendly interface standpoint, that's really friendly. It's really accessible that you can turn to launch from and edit those data elements and progress throughout your digital experience at the university. Taking charge, again, of your digital identity is at the core of this vision of this service and how we are aiming to serve the campus population here. This really, the profile application, and as you, again, click around your space, it's really hoping to drive home the point that we're really trying to give you ownership of your identity data and ownership of how you would like to be represented here at the university, which we know is key for a high quality digital experience. It's no longer a nice to have from our students or employees. It's an expectation that we provide rich digital experiences that are just as high quality as the on-campus experience that a lot of us are aware of here in Madison. And so the capabilities within your profile page also help you show up as your authentic self on campus, again, in ways that we know have a profound effect on someone's comfort and well-being. And again, through the eyes of end user experience, this is something that this team is really keenly aware of and really in tune to as they continue to iterate on this service and product for the institution. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Beth to share a little bit more about Salesforce and the technology side of things as we continue on.
Great, thanks. So what is Salesforce Experience Cloud? This is the platform that we've used to build Profile. So Experience Cloud is within the Salesforce platform, and you may be familiar with Salesforce CRM, you may not. So Salesforce itself is a large platform, what you can think of as a cloud-based software used to host applications or services. And at its heart, Salesforce is a CRM, a constituent relationship management platform used by university staff to manage relationships with constituents. And constituents can refer to prospective students, current students, business partnerships, and more. And you might have more than one Salesforce org to manage data in an institution. The UW-Madison has a few, but often it's around communications with constituents, emails, phone calls, meetings, etc., to have a more holistic or 360-degree view of a person's interactions with the university. Experience Cloud within the Salesforce platform is used to build websites used directly by those constituents. So constituents can log into Experience Cloud to view and manage data about themselves. So Experience Cloud in itself is considered a digital experience platform, which is distinct from a CRM. And digital experience platforms are defined by Gartner as an integrated set of core technologies that support the composition, management, delivery, and optimization of contextualized digital experiences. And in this definition, you can think of contextual digital experiences as providing relevant, personalized content to the user. So Experience Cloud provides tools such as a drag and drop builder and workflow builder called Flows. And these tools often provide low code, no code building interfaces. And the applications we build with Experience Cloud can also connect directly to Salesforce data. And through this, experiences can be personalized because of the data architecture. So this slide is a quick overview of some of these tools. In the upper left corner, you can see a contact record within Salesforce. And this is the heart of the constituents data within Salesforce and can likewise connect to other records and data about a person. In the upper right, you can see the drag and drop builder. It comes with out-of-the-box components that connect to screen flows that can be used to build interfaces. And then we also have the ability to build custom web components, which we have, and those can show up in the drag and drop builder and can have editable properties to make them easier to maintain in the future. In the lower left, you see the flows and automation, that flow builder. These can be used to build screen flows and logic of different screens as they progress, but they can also be used for other automation that trigger by certain events, such as when a user logs into Profile, triggering certain things to happen within the org. And then in the lower right, you can see personalization can be created with Experience Builder's audience tool. And this has conditionals in it so that if certain conditions are met, then you can display certain information to the user. Right, so I'm going to pivot to talk about our approach to our work. We use the Agile methodology to stay focused on improving the user experience. And you may be familiar with the traditional waterfall methodology, a sequential development process where each phase is completely finished before the next phase begins. And with this methodology, users don't see the product or service until the end of the project. And in contrast, an Agile approach releases smaller iterations, allowing for collecting feedback often. And this approach helps us navigate uncertainty by validating assumptions and adapting our plan based on what we learn on the way. So what does this look like for us? There are multiple ways to apply Agile, and Scrum is a subcategory of these. And it's a way of working to prioritize work and have a cadence of meetings. And our team follows this structure to plan our roadmap and prioritize our backlog items, what we're going to be working on. And then we work in 2-week sprints. And within those sprints, we design, develop, test, and deploy different functionality or features within Profile. And then we use a review meeting to demonstrate work, often to stakeholders and partners. And then after that sprint, we update the plan based on what we've learned. So continually releasing to end users. And the benefit to this approach is that it allows us to adapt to change. What we learn along the way allows us to pivot our plan to meet the needs of campus. Our focus on user experience and feedback drives what features to add and prioritize in our backlog. So how do we go about getting this information? We have feedback surveys built directly within Profile, as Tyler mentioned. And then we've also done recorded user testing session, asynchronous testing with student employees where they can fill out feedback in Google Documents. We've done research on specific data elements within Profile, such as timing, the user experience of setting a name and use for students and employees, and user journey mapping. So looking at what the stages are in onboarding or setting up your data at the university. Then we've also met with campus stakeholders to discuss the functionality of Profile and get their feedback, reviewing analytics and usage reports. So what links do people visit from Profile? What knowledge base articles or other services are they going to? And then how many times have users set name and use, for example, to get a better picture of how many of our campus community is using that feature. Okay, and then here's an outline of how our iterations have been prioritized so far in this service. So we started with an MVP, or minimum viable product, and that started with read-only data. And that meant you couldn't edit any of the data in Profile. And we also had just-in-time data. So we connected to Person Hub in a specific way that didn't necessitate loading Profile data on the contact record beyond the information needed for logging in. And we included self-service links to KB articles as the minimum service offering to help people understand how they could manage their data on campus. Our next iteration, which we're currently in, has focused on editable data and personalized content. And in order to do this, we've been making data synchronization improvements to better utilize the tools within Experience Builder, which has meant loading data within Salesforce contact records. We've made the editable name and use feature within Profile, so you can edit a data element. And we've begun using the audience builder tool and personalized content, such as recommending KB articles for employees to those that we know are in the employee audience, and student resources to students, and student employees see both types of resources. And then finally, the future enhancements could include a variety of features, again, based on feedback, including new data elements, looking at how we handle new identity registration, how we might support external and social login users, how we can guide a new user to fill out their profile and review their data, referred to as onboarding, displaying IT service and resource catalog information, displaying recent failed login information, guiding users to NetID account management, and other improvements as we go along. And I'll pass it back to Tyler.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Beth. So as mentioned, looking forward and kind of what's on the horizon, Beth just alluded to it as well. Just from a population standpoint, or what future audiences do we want to release Profile to? As a reminder, the current release information is there at the bottom of the screen. Obviously, we know that there are a lot of different audiences and a lot of different populations here at Madison that we want to serve and bring into the fold, into the Profile service, where and when it makes sense, when we can provide that rich digital campus experience for them. Notably, on the top here, in terms of kind of in the different buckets of populations we have shown, prior to fall of 2023 this year, one of the populations we'll be looking to basically release Profile up to again is the prospective student category. So really looking forward to releasing to that population here very shortly. As Beth mentioned, we're continuing to build upon the strengths of this Salesforce platform and Experience Cloud platform to really look at improving end user experiences where we can and leveraging this technology. And what does this look like, as Beth mentioned, from a personalized content standpoint? Got a couple different unique screenshots here on the screen for folks to kind of just get some thoughts running. And so please feel free, again, if you've got feedback on these or other ways that this may be of strong benefit to you, your colleagues, your school college division. That's all feedback we would love to hear from a user story perspective. So thinking through this, if I'm specifically a student, and specifically a student in the College of Engineering, and I'm a first-year student, brand new on campus in the fall, and looking to get involved on campus in student organizations, maybe the Concrete Canoeing Club is something that's of interest to me. And by way of, again, as Beth mentioned, that 360-degree view that Profile may have of me as a student by way of the connections to other orgs on campus, other Salesforce orgs, it may be able to prompt me to say, hi, Tyler, welcome to UW-Madison. Here are some student org opportunities available to you by way of your affiliation with the College of Engineering. I could see maybe some events that are going on with that student org, when they meet, things like that. So again, through providing personalized content through something as simple as a student org announcement. Enhanced task lists and workflows, what this could look like. We've got the middle screenshot there as an example of a graduation checklist. So again, the profile might be able to understand where you're at in your student experience timeline, again, from that 360-degree view of me as a student or even an employee that is also taking courses at the university and progressing towards graduation. It would know kind of that I'm approaching maybe 6 months out to graduation and prompt me to say, I've got these 4, 5, 6, 7 things to be able to take care of before being able to officially walk across the stage at commencement. And then finally, there, another example, again, based on if I'm a grad assistant or if I'm just, again, a student that is really interested in the specific faculty research opportunities that they have available or research that they're conducting. It could look like something as easy as keeping me updated and doing a quick toggle on and off switch. So these are things that we've prototyped and that we've been looking into, but really are open to feedback on if this might be a benefit for a future iteration and release of this service. And so, as Beth mentioned as well, Experience Cloud right now in its current stages is really at the beginning stages of examining how this might better serve campus from a digital campus experience perspective. If you think about other needs on campus, such as My UW, existing ancillary applications that are being evaluated right now as part of ATP, might Experience Cloud be an appropriate platform or new home for those types of tools in the future? And so really encourage folks to try and think outside of the box and think how this might be our new future digital campus experience footprint. And with that, I believe that is all we have for our time here this morning. So really want to thank everyone for your time and attention. And I think I see some questions or some items in chat there, so we can certainly open it up for any questions from the group.
Thank you very much, Tyler. Yeah, we have a few questions in the chat. And I'm just gonna read them. The first one was, are non-credit students in the current user population defined by having a P up entry population by CSIS as needing a NetID or for Canvas access? My hypothesis, but wonder if it might be broader and how broad. So that's the first question.
I can jump in a little bit, and then Tyler, I'll let you expand on if you want. So yes, that is my understanding. We use manifest groups to build our CM population, and then we have specific I guess subgroups of the way we think about how we're audiencing someone. So a future dated student or a future dated employee, like currently enrolled student or a matriculated student. And then in the case of CSIS, my understanding is they do have to be currently are enrolled and have the NetID. So.
Cool. Thank you. The next one is, I really like this whole application as it makes it much easier to manage my UW identity. I'm also excited to see some of those future enhancements. Is there a planned roadmap for those, or will it depend on rollout to other populations?
Yes, so we have a kind of whiteboard roadmap that we use, and then we also use GitLab for backlog issues. But our current things on the horizon, we are looking at the applicant experience in there. That was something that early on we did have applicant access in it, and we decided to be a little more cautious with that after discovering that applicants will look around MyUW and different applications to try to have some indication that they have been accepted before they get their acceptance letter. And so we met with some folks from undergraduate admissions, and we didn't think Profile was doing that, but we also saw that there was a large number of applicants last fall that did log into Profile, and we couldn't figure out quite what they might be looking for, because based on the records we were showing, they weren't going to be having like the articles and the help knowledge-based articles that we were showing to currently enrolled intent to enroll students. So we pivoted that so that they didn't have login access and instead directed them to an FAQ page so that they could get general help about data. But we are looking at opening that back up so they get information specific to applicants to direct them back to Student Center and to the admissions process, and we don't reveal their status before they get their letter. But it's things like that that we definitely want to hear more feedback, because we have a bigger plan of these things we're prioritizing, but we're also pivoting based on what we're seeing, the way that Profile gets used and who's logging in and what they're trying to do and what questions they're asking. And we're looking at ways also to collect feedback for our backlog beyond the feedback form. But right now the feedback form really is the best way to submit requests of features.
That's cool. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Beth. The next question is communication preference management for Eloqua contacts on the roadmap someday? That's it.
Yeah. I can take this one, or Tyler, you can. I know displaying communication preferences is a big one that we've heard. So, we're displaying what your email or phone number is in different systems, but being able to display which one you set as preferred, and then knowing that when certain events happen, such as when a student graduates, that might trigger a change in your preferred address, email address, phone number, we want to surface that to the user and make it really clear what your current preferences are and what your how you can change it. And I think that also plays into opening it to further audiences, because when you might become a part of a different audience, such as alumni, I think that point of your changing relationship with the university, it becomes even more important that you have it set the way that you expect and want.
Sounds good. Now, there is also, next question is related to this one, is texting opt-in out preference management on the roadmap, especially for Eloqua-based and Salesforce-based texting.
Yeah, that's very similarly wrapped up into the similar answer Beth just provided on communication preference management as well. I'll quickly just add a one note that the team also got excited about recently as part of our internal road mapping exercises we went through on the theme of communication preferences, was this idea of being able to kind of toggle your profile page to present in someone's preferred language as well. So recognizing, as an example, when broader campus emails get sent out, you have that prompt at the top to be able to read that message in your preferred language. And so the team has been excited about looking at how we might be able to provide that level of functionality on the web application as well within Profile, so that if English is not my preferred language, I'm able to select from kind of some pre-baked options and be able to see my data in my first language that is really accessible to me. So just wanted to put a plug out there as well on that front.
Awesome, thank you. Next question is asking, where can we follow the project, find out about the feedback you have, future plans, ideas, etc. I see some answers, but do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'll start and Beth certainly jump in. David, if it's of interest, so Alan is exactly correct. We can certainly do an invite extension out to sprint reviews. If that is something that would be of interest, if you'd like to pop in where and when you can. Our team is also looking at similar functionality that exists out there with WhiskWeb today on how we might be able to provide a more public-facing submission for feedback in addition to the feedback option we have through the service today. So you could potentially submit that future enhancement request, we can respond to that, those types of things. And yeah, in terms of roadmap and making that publicly available, not sure what, Beth, your thoughts are on that one, but certainly I don't see any reason why we couldn't provide a public facing document of that.
Yeah, I think, we're just in the beginning stages of, launching this spring more widely to campus. So we definitely want to look at the ways that we can open that up more broadly, and would love to have more people in our sprint reviews, because that is the heart of why we're doing an agile methodology. We want more people with eyes on, or with their perspective on what we're releasing and what we're planning, and getting that feedback. So yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you. One more, and this is the last one, from Vanessa. Thank you, Tyler and Beth. I really enjoyed hearing about CIAM profile, our approach, agile, and our approach to receiving feedback. So that's a nice comment. But if you have anything else to add, that's good. Otherwise,
yeah, I would just add, you can use that feedback form or email myself or Tyler directly if you do want to be invited to the sprint reviews. That is an open thing. And then in the invite for the sprint reviews, we do put that you're welcome to forward it to anybody on your team as well. So if you have someone that you're like, oh, I think they'd also really be interested in this information. And then we ask if you're going to forward it to someone outside of your team, that you just, again, email us first. So we're just keeping aware of who's coming and can better understand, who's going to be in our sprint reviews.
okay. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Beth and Tyler. There are no more questions. I think we can give everybody a couple commute time virtually. Other than that, thanks everyone. There are more sessions coming up. Please make sure to join, and have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.